Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast for our special Super Bowl episode. I'm Bobby Sylvester, as always, with Mike Tagliere, and we hung out last week with the whole Fantasy Pros crew. I've got to tell you all, Tags actually has a really nice jump shot in basketball. He's a great putter in golf, and perhaps most importantly, he was a stellar offensive coordinator for our championship football team, baby.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure getting to sit down with everybody on the team, man. It was really nice getting to meet everybody, including Bobby. Bobby is exactly who you would think he is, honestly, in person. Like, he's just as rambunctious. He's crazy. I swear to God, he's like a teenager. I feel like he could be my teenage son. But we definitely pulled a Brady Belichick type thing because I don't move as well as I used to. So on our football team, for the central team that we had with Fantasy Pros, I kind of became the coach, and I utilized Bobby's speed, his strength, he's like LaShawn McCoy out there in the football field. And I'm really curious to see your 40 time, Bobby, because I know that you're gonna dominate it, man. You're full of energy.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I unfortunately had to wear jorts. And, a lot of people were asking me, like, why are you wearing jorts? For those of you who don't know, jorts are jeans that, your thighs are too big or whatever, so it, like, rips a hole in your jeans. Just turn them into shorts. So you've got jorts, right? And I was asked to wear jorts because they wanted to take pictures, and they just wanted to make sure that, like, I wasn't so fast that they couldn't get a picture of me. You know what I mean?
The jorts are a real thing, by the way.
Anyway, special shout out to our quarterback Quinn and our own version of Megatron, Rob. Quinn does DevOps for our site, and he went 3 games and just threw 1 incompletion. And apparently he tweeted at us, he had to listen to music last week because we didn't do a podcast episode. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. So sorry about that. We're back. We're going to do at least 1 episode every week. And today we're joined by the always fun and insightful Dan Harris, Fantasy Pros correspondent. Dan, I'm super sorry about the Jags choking, man, and I'll spare y'all on that rant. I want to know, what's it like being a Jags fan and knowing your team just has no chance or hope of ever reaching the big game?
I mean, that's terrible, basically, is what it is. But I feel like it's something where you get kind of conditioned to it. You know what I mean? I feel like, when I'm a kid, it's heartbreaking every single year. And then, you get to your teenager and you get sort of this optimistic phase. You're like, here, we're going to do it. And then Chad Pennington came along and, we looked like we actually had a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and it was great. And then it's just terrible. But I basically accepted it at this point. And, mediocrity is kind of liberating once you just sort of accept that this is what it's like. So frankly, at this point, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't get as stressed. I can just sit back and enjoy the game for what it is.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you had to survive Mark Sanchez and the butt fumble, Tim Tebow. And I'm totally kidding. I mean, I was a Rams fan when they were in St. Louis, so I remember it all too well. And I think the Jets actually have a shot at making some real noise this offseason. Hear me out. I mean, this is kind of a long shot, but hear me out. We've got probably the best healthy free agent of all time in Kirk Cousins. There's just not really great quarterbacks that hit free agents. He's not a great quarterback, but he's a good quarterback. And the Jets have tons of money to go get him. They could go out and draft Saquon Barkley, maybe sign Allen Robinson. You've got some reason to be hopeful, man. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't conditioned for disappointment, then I would probably be hopeful. But objectively speaking, sure, it's definitely sets up well for the Jets, who are obviously a little bit better than expected this season. And they've got, I think, the 5th most cap space in the NFL. Their word is they're going to go hard after Cousins, which would be great. There's a lot of competition for him. But if they can land him, yeah, of course, having a competent quarterback basically changes the entire direction of the franchise. And so I'm certainly, objectively, I should be optimistic. But as a Jets fan, I'm just basically not even paying attention and getting ready for the next 7-9 season.
Yeah. So we're going to get into all the Super Bowl stuff. But first, I'd imagine you all want to hear about our response to the blockbuster Alex Smith deal. Tags has a big hot take, so I'm excited for that. But before we do, I want to take a moment to tell you all about our new sponsor, RX Bar. So as you all know, I'm trying to get in shape so I don't keel over and die when I do the combine in a month. RX Bar was kind enough to send Tags and I a box of their protein bars, and I've just been tearing into these when I get back from the gym. I was pretty pumped when I found out that they're actually delicious too. And the best part about RX Bars is that they actually use real food ingredients. Egg whites for protein, dates to bind, nuts for texture, no added sugar, no artificial colors, no preservatives, no fillers, gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free. I'm telling you, you can tell a difference when you're eating real food, and that's why RX Bar's no BS mentality gives them the best protein bar in the market. I really do believe that. My favorite bar was the blueberry. Typically, I'm not the biggest blueberry guy, but I found out that blueberries and dates are seriously an incredible combo. When you bite into the blueberry bar, I'm telling you, your brain is going to think you're eating candy. And I know about eating candy because I love candy. It tastes just like candy. You're all going to want to give RX bars a try. And we've got a special promo code for you when you do. For 25% off your first order, visit rxbar.com/fantasypros and enter the promo code fantasypros, all one word at checkout. Again, that's rxbar.com/fantasypros and enter promo code fantasypros at checkout. Okay, Tags, Alex Smith to Washington. I know you were getting some serious heat for your take on Twitter, but I'm with you, man. Smith is better than Cousins. Let's hear it.
It was wild, Bobby. I'll tell you this because so I had a flight really early this morning, so I had to go to sleep early last night. I wasn't awake for the trade, and then I wake up to all these text messages, all these alerts, people asking me what I think about it, and I log into Twitter, and it's odd. It's almost like you saw the Redskins sign Eli Manning or something like that. That's not how it works. Alex Smith is a phenomenal quarterback. And I want to start this by saying this is my only chance to defend myself because everybody wants to tie Alex Smith to a game managing quarterback. And coming into 2017, I would have been standing there right with you saying that he's a solid quarterback, a game manager that, he's not going to have the highest ceiling. He's not going to lose a game for you. He's exactly what you need with a team with a good defense. I mean, you look at the 49ers teams he's played for, really, really good defenses. Kansas City, before 2017, they were considered one of the best defenses in the NFL. All fantasy players know that. I mean, you're going out there, you had Eric Berry, you had Marcus Peters, Tom Bahali, Tom Terry Poe, all these guys. He had a really good defense. He was never asked to do anything on that team. So you're going to hold this against him. You're going to tell me Alex Smith has only thrown 20 touchdowns 3 times, Mike. I don't care. He's thrown 500 pass attempts twice in his career. His career high is 508 attempts. And guess what? The 2 times he threw over 500 times, 23 and 26 touchdowns. In 5 of the last 7 years, Alex Smith has had at least a 3-to-1 touchdown ratio. So when you're talking about these numbers, people are throwing at me like, oh, well, Mike, he's going to Washington. He's coming from Kansas City. He had a Pro Bowl tight end. He had a Pro Bowl running back. He had a Pro Bowl wide receiver. Who do you think is throwing them the ball? Like, seriously, was Jordy Nelson a Pro Bowl receiver without Aaron Rodgers? No. Do people really think that Tyreek Hill can go to any quarterback and be a number 1 receiver? Good luck with that. What I'm saying here is that Alex Smith is so underrated by the fantasy community. I can care less about his fantasy stats. This is our take on him as a football player. And if you just look at the numbers, I can understand how you come to the conclusion where his ceiling is limited. But that means what it tells me when you come to me and say that, it means that you did not watch the damn games this year, because Alex Smith, I watched every single one and he turned me into a fan. He can throw all the passes. On passes over 20 yards this year, he had the highest quarterback rating in the NFL. Oh, well, Mike, he didn't do it very often. Well, then why did he have 200 more passing yards more than any other quarterback in the league on deep passing this year? Don't tell me it's just Tyreek Hill. And if you look at his time in Kansas City, who have his wide receivers been? Chris Conley? Jeremy Maclin, towards the end, he was on and off the field. Tyreek Hill, he's a worse version of Deshaun Jackson. I'm sorry. You look at it, Dwayne Bowe towards the end of his career. That's what I'm saying. Is just like, it's a joke that people dismiss Alex Smith. Now, does this mean it was a bad move for the Chiefs? No. The Chiefs got exactly what they should have because they invested so much in Mahomes. We've talked about that on this show. But as the Redskins, if you're a Redskins fan right now and you're sitting there taking a lot of heat because the media is saying this was a bad move, or the fantasy community is telling you that they got taken advantage of, don't believe that, because Kirk Cousins was going to leave the Redskins. And if you did not go out there and get Alex Smith for a 3rd round pick and a slot cornerback, that's a small price to play for a franchise quarterback. And if you didn't go get him, you're going to be stuck with Josh Allen or another rookie quarterback as your starter in 2018. And you might as well kiss your chance at a Super Bowl goodbye. It's not to say that the Redskins are a Super Bowl contender right now, but at the same time, don't hate on Alex Smith. Seriously, if you hate on Alex Smith, you did not watch any games in 2017.
I love the fire, man. You remember Tom Brady, Big Ben, earlier in their careers when the Steelers and Pats had awesome defenses. They weren't asked to do much. I'm not saying Alex Smith is Tom Brady. Obviously, I'm not saying that, but he's good. Don't get me wrong, though. I still think it was a sucky trade because they had to deal Kendall Fuller, who might be the best slot corner in football, while losing a 3rd and absorbing $17 million in salary. But just between Cousins and 33-year-old Alex Smith, give me Alex Smith all day.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's where I'm confused. Like, all of a sudden, Kendall Fuller is turned into the greatest slot cornerback on earth. I mean, go back a year ago, guys. Like, I don't know if people just have really short memories in the NFL. I don't know, because Kendall Fuller was a guy that got benched. He was a guy that legitimately was considered one of the worst slot cornerbacks in football. And now all of a sudden, he's this rising star because the ex-GM of the Redskins came out and said, I wouldn't have traded Kendall Fuller. Well, there's probably a reason you don't have a job, dude. What I'm saying is, like, Kendall Fuller might be a good player. He might turn out to be a really good player, but he's still a nickel cornerback who only comes on the field when you're going into nickel packages. So what I'm saying, I don't understand it. Like, for a slot cornerback and a third round draft pick to get a guy that you can win a Super Bowl with, because I do believe Alex Smith is a Super Bowl caliber winning quarterback, because he played at an MVP level this year. I've said it on Twitter before this trade even took place. I said that Alex Smith deserves to be in the MVP conversation because he was that good. People forget that Kareem Hunt in the middle of the season was non-existent. He wasn't doing anything. He showed up at the beginning, he showed up at the end, and he played well in the playoffs, but he disappeared in the middle. Alex Smith had, I want to say it was 2 bad games all season. And I just don't hate it if you're a Redskins fan.
You know, Todd Gurley was really bad a year ago, too. That doesn't mean Kendall Fuller's not good. Like, these stuff changes in football. Pro Football Focus had him as the number 2 cover slot corner in all of football. So I like that. But the biggest thing is $17 million that the Chiefs save here. They can go out and buy Allen Robinson. I mean, it's basically Allen Robinson, Kendall Fuller, and a third for Alex Smith. I think they lose that deal. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I mean, look, in the end, for the Chiefs, first of all, I also want to point out that was a grade A rant by Tags, like really, really solid. I mean, that's the fire you want to bring basically on every take. And I wish you could do that on every take you do, regardless. You could be like, I have Antonio Brown as my number 1 wide receiver this week, and I'm fired up about it. Anyway.
Tags is Mr. Hot Take, man. Everyone knows him as Mr. Hot Take.
Right, exactly. So, all right. So first, let's start. I think as a whole, I really do think it was a very good deal for the Chiefs, and I think most people think that, right? Because everybody knew they were moving on to Mahomes this year anyway, right? So to be able to get a third-round pick and Fuller for him, for a guy who everybody knew was going out the door anyway, I think it's a really good job. For the Redskins, I agree, Tags, for the most part. I did not understand quite the backlash on Twitter. First of all, the third round pick, they're going to get that back the following year when Cousins signs, isn't it? Isn't the compensatory pick a third round pick in 2019? So they basically don't lose anything with that. So it's really just Fuller. And Fuller, I mean, yes, it's a little difficult to know. Do we fully buy into the fact that Fuller was so highly graded this year, or do we look at him prior to this year? Either way, the one thing that I worry about for the Redskins is Bashaud Breeland is a free agent too, right? I mean, I think they're going to probably lose him, or maybe not. They're leaving themselves really thin in the secondary at this point. Now, be that as it may, I like Smith. I really do. And I always have, frankly. I get that he's been the quote unquote game manager before this year, and look, it's a team game and he has had the great defenses, but the guy has had 7 straight winning seasons with a 688 winning percentage over that span. I mean, that's an elite number. I get it. It's a team game. He had great defenses, but you can't just throw anybody out there. He's a guy who's been great. And this year he was outstanding basically the entire year. One of those 2 terrible games, by the way, Tags, was against the Giants in that horrible wind when he played, which basically you can throw that game out entirely. And as you said, I think, first of all, the systems I don't think are all that dissimilar to what the Chiefs were running this year and to what Gruden runs. And I think, Tags, you mentioned, was it 508 pass attempts was his career high? Yep. Gruden, a quarterback under Gruden, has never thrown fewer than 540 pass attempts. So, I mean, right away, you're basically saying, okay, here is Smith and here's what he can do. And you already know he's going to be throwing more than he ever has before in the past. So personally, look, I like Smith. I think you can win with Smith. I think what he showed this year is that when you take the reins off a little bit, he's really capable of obviously being much more than a game manager. So I really didn't have a problem with it. And like you said, Tags, Cousins was gone anyway. Maybe if you had wanted to sign Cousins and if you had done it earlier, fine, I would have gotten that. At this point, he was out the door. And frankly, again, we talked about the fact that I'm a Jets fan. And when you come from a team that literally has never had a competent quarterback, or not basically in my lifetime, then you realize that if you can get Alex Smith, you do that. Because Alex Smith, frankly, I mean, he's a guy who can lead you to the playoffs and potentially the Super Bowl. So, again, not dropping the fire as much as Tags, but I do think that certainly the criticism was of Smith and the trade generally was overdone.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the other quarterbacks with a really high winning percentage like Alex Smith. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson. That's it. That's it.
Right.
Like he can't just be drugged by the rest of the team for that long. And oh, by the way, like Tag said, he didn't really have a rest of the team, especially in the wide receiver core. Alex Smith is really good. This is a great trade. I was a bit bummed that Smith was dealt so quickly and didn't go to the Jags.
Yeah.
But we're about to see the biggest quarterback carousel of all time, so there's plenty of reason to be optimistic. Dan, I took a poll on Twitter last night, and virtually everyone thinks Kirk Cousins is the best. Even over Alex Smith, which I don't really understand. But who's the number 2 of the guys still out there? Nick Foles, Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, maybe Bortles, Eli, Tyrod Taylor, one of the rookies? Who do you want?
Well, I really want Cousins, frankly, but I guess if there's going to be a number 2, I mean, I think it would probably. First of all, I'm not inspired by any of them. I think a lot of them are passable and stuff like that. None of them is on the level of Smith or Cousins or anything like that. But I think for me, it would probably be Keenum, and I wouldn't be that excited about him. But I think, frankly, after Cousins, Keenum is going to kind of be the guy. I mean, he showed a lot of positive steps this year. He was reliable at the very least. I think for the most part, he's a guy who you feel confident you can throw out there. And I don't think he's a guy you stake your entire franchise on necessarily, but I think he's the type of guy where if you draft a young kid, he can come in, he can tide you over for a few years and give you a shot at the playoffs. So for me, for the guy who's probably available, I think it would probably be Keenum. But again, the only guy at this point who really excites me is Cousins.
I totally get that. And everyone's saying Kirk Cousins going to Denver, he's going to Arizona. Don't sleep on the Vikings picking up Kirk Cousins. Tags, why don't you go ahead here?
This one's tough. Obviously, Cousins is the number 1 pick, and honestly, it seems like the Jets are really in a position to make a run at him with all the money they have available, and they have a clear need at quarterback. And they may not be picking early enough to get one of the top dogs at quarterback. They might have to trade up, so it may make sense. And I think I love that free agency comes before the draft, so we're able to see some of these dominoes fall, so that helps to prepare for the draft. But behind Cousins, I don't know, man. Like I want to apologize to some people because I talked bad about Nick Foles in this show before, and this is an oversight on my part, and this is where I need to get better. So watching Nick Foles kind of dominate the Vikings like he did last week, I kind of took what I saw from him with the Rams and I applied too much of it. When we talk about coaching and how much it matters in the NFL, I may have underestimated how bad of an effect that Jeff Fisher had on Nick Foles. Because if you look at Nick Foles' career outside of Jeff Fisher, no matter what other coach it was, whether it was Chip Kelly, whether it's Doug Peterson, he's been a very competent quarterback. And he obviously showed a massive ceiling playing under Chip Kelly, throwing 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So I think the ceiling might be there with Nick Foles. And if he's showed the ability to play on a big stage too, and the conference championship game to step up and play the way that he did. And if he has another solid game in the Super Bowl, I don't expect them to win, but if he has another solid game, I think he's going to be a very prized free agent. I think we saw Case Keenum as the season went on, he kind of slowed down a little bit. And I'm not saying that he's going to be a bad quarterback, but I think those are clearly the top 3 right now. But Bobby, I wanted you to talk about this on the air because you and I talked about it in Vegas about Blake Bortles and the fact that the Jags are now saying, I think it's clear that they're going to stick with him next year. And after where they went, I think it was they were kind of stuck in that position, right? They weren't going to be able to dump Bortles with how far they got into the playoffs, but I really felt like they were going to spend a high pick on a quarterback. I still feel that way, but Bobby brought up, he said, what was it? I think he's a $19 million he counts against the cap. They can cut him with no dead cap. So if for whatever reason they're able to move up in the draft and let's say they get Baker Mayfield or Josh Rosen, would they, like use capital to trade up there, and would they dump Bortles? Like, do you think that's even a remote possibility?
Oh man, I don't think anybody else wants Bortles. They see that he's playing with Leonard Fournette and with this great defense managing games. He's probably gonna have a starting job somewhere next year. I think it's going to be with the Jags, and just whatever about that. Like, this is the worst case scenario, right? I'd rather have them win 4 games and just dump Bortles than blow a game going into the Super Bowl because they stopped handing the ball off to Corey Grant and throwing all these stupid passes with Blake Bortles. Just whatever, okay? If it were me, I'd want Case Keenum. I mean, we know he's healthy. It's not like he's Teddy Bridgewater or whatever. It's not like he's Eli Manning and he's super old, right? He wasn't incredible this year, but he's going to get some MVP votes. 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 7.4 yards per attempt, which is better than Russell Wilson. Then he completed 66.4% of his passes. Folks, Tom Brady's only done that twice in his whole career. He's not Tom Brady, but he is an actual good starting quarterback in the NFL, like top 16. You can win with that. I don't think you can really win with Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think you can win with Nick Foles. We'll talk about that later. Sorry, after you said that. And Tags, by the way, I want to say that's really honest of you to say, and I think that's what makes you one of the best, if not the best, in the industry, is that you're willing to admit stuff like that. I love it, man.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's like that's what we have to figure out. We have to go back and look at our process and see where we went wrong. And I maybe just overlooked Foles because of what I saw as from him as a starter in St. Louis. So I mean, that's the thing, is move forward and watch him. And he played it excellent. I really couldn't believe what I saw against the Vikings. I know we never had a chance to talk about that game after it happened because we didn't have a podcast last week. But Nick Foles was lights out in that game, man. He was fantastic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Is there a backup that could actually be a decent NFL starter for a desperate team, Tags? Like, let's say the Jets just whiff on everybody and they draft Josh Allen. Sorry, Dan.
Oh, that's all
right. They draft Josh Allen and they want to develop him. Like, is there a backup quarterback that could actually hold down the fort?
I don't know. Josh McCown, he played extremely well for them this year. He wasn't the problem with their team. He was actually the part of the reason that they were winning games. So, I mean, if they do draft a rookie, which seems likely if they don't land Cousins, I don't see why they wouldn't try and bring Josh McCown back.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I'd like to see Austin Davis get a chance. He was on pace for over 4,000 yards with the Jeff Fisher Rams before they put Sean freaking Hill back under center to close the season. If Jared Goff, Nick Foles, and Case Keenum are actually good outside of Jeff Fisher, maybe Austin Davis is too. I mean, in his last shot, he relieved Johnny Manziel and stormed the Browns back to tie the game. They had a game-winning field goal blocked and returned for a touchdown. Davis hasn't seen the field yet, so I want to see this guy get a chance. Maybe it happens with one of these teams.
It's pretty crazy, man, to see like the embarrassing riches that they had at quarterback at the Rams with Jared Goff, Case Keenum, and Nick Foles on that depth chart. I mean, do we question if Jared Goff is as good as we think he is?
I still don't think he's that good. Do you think he's a top 16 quarterback in the NFL, Dan?
Yeah.
Like, independent of coaches, independent of offensive line, Todd Gurley, Robert Woods, Sammy Watkins, not that you should even mention Sammy Watkins, but, independent of all that, you think Jared Goff's top 16?
It's a little tough to tell. So whatever my answer is, I don't think I'd be able to say it with confidence, right? Given how terrible he looked in the beginning. And then he obviously had a great year this year, but it's under a phenomenal system. And he had a ridiculous amount of talent surrounding him. So really, at this point, given how young he is, I don't think that I would be able to necessarily say definitively, but my gut instinct is he's probably around there. Like, he'd probably be like on the low end of like close to 15 if I was basically saying, start your franchise here, start with the quarterback, do whatever you want. I mean, he's talented. He definitely is. But again, it's hard. You can see a system can make a quarterback at any given point. And you can see obviously the way anybody, basically we should have a rule that says you have to add on a certain, percentage of performance for anybody who played under Jeff Fisher at any point. You could just be like, well, he did this under Jeff Fisher, but you basically extrapolate that out plus 20%. And that's what his real performance is. I think you can't really tell necessarily how it'd be. But look, from what I saw of Goff, I was encouraged. But again, under McVay's system, I bet you could probably have a lot of guys out there and you would be like, wow, this guy's great, when you have Todd Gurley. But overall, I am optimistic on his future. And I would think about top 15.
It Tags, what you saw with McVay, would you rather have anyone else leading your offense in all of the NFL? Or is it just that like the NFL should just file a restraining order against Jeff Fisher?
I think they should definitely file a restraining order against Jeff Fisher. But I want to say that there were some people rooting for him to come back just so he could set the record for all-time losses, because that would be very fitting.
That's awesome. That is really fun. Okay, guys, Super Bowl time, and we're going to break down the game, talk some snacks, talk some props. But first, let's take a moment to talk about another new sponsor that we have. And I'll tell you guys, I wish so bad that I knew about Zola 6 years ago. They have reinvented wedding registry and planning process. Zola's free. It's easy to use. I've chatted with two buddies who have used their product, and apparently Zola makes it pretty fun too. Over 300,000 couples have used Zola, and they've got the best friendly customer service team that's going to go above and beyond, whether it's helping you pick out the perfect blender, walking a grandma through a couple registry, or any number of things. Zola does price matching and free shipping and offer a top-rated app for iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch. That way couples can manage their registry on the go. And if you're planning a wedding or about to get engaged, we've got an awesome promo code for you. To sign up with Zola and receive a $50 credit towards your registry, go to zola.com/fantasypros. Again, that's a $50 credit towards your registry by going to Zola, that's ZOLA.com/fantasypros, all one word. So, Dan, what's your favorite storyline for this year's Super Bowl?
I mean, frankly, it does kind of feel like there aren't that many this year as opposed to previous years. Maybe I'm just wrong, but I mean, I'll go with the one that probably it gets me going the most, which is whether or not Napoleon Dynamite over there can take down the big bad Patriots by himself. You know what I mean? Look, we've seen this backup angle. We saw Jeff Hostetler obviously in Super Bowl 25, but Foles again. Tags, you mentioned it when he was with the Rams. The guy almost retired. He was basically ready to be completely out of football. And even when he came in, everybody was jumping ship. They weren't favored in either of their 2 playoff games, despite being the number 1 seed. I mean, he's basically been completely discounted. So, I mean, even though, again, I don't think that he's going to come out victorious, I hope he does, but I don't think he will. I think in the end that is really what I'm going to be watching. And the other minor thing I'll add, and this kind of depends on to whether or not it's a close game at halftime, is the adjustments sort of that I'm going to be watching in terms of what the Eagles are able to do, right? The Patriots have kind of been masters of basically adjusting at halftime, in the last 2 Super Bowls against the Jaguars, and they just totally changed it up. But the Eagles haven't given up a point yet in the second half in the playoffs, right? I mean, Doug Peterson has really done a great job of adjusting and keeping up with the game flow. So in this, I'm kind of interested to see the Doug Peterson versus Bill Belichick in terms of halftime adjustments. But really, I'll be rooting for Foles and hoping that he can kind of make the storybook comeback complete.
All right, Tags, what do you have for us, man?
I'm actually right there with him. It's just like the David versus Goliath thing, and I don't think there's any way it happens. Like as much as I'm forced to revisit my Foles, my evaluation of him, I don't bet against Tom Brady. Like you don't do it. Like we talked about this at the start of the playoffs, Bobby, because like Brady towards the end of the year was kind of faltering. Like he didn't look like the same quarterback he was to start the year. But then when it came to playoff time, it's like you just had to know that Tom Brady was coming back. Like he was going to be back, and he's played phenomenal football. And now he's going to get Gronk back for this game. The weakness they have on that Philadelphia defense is the secondary, which just happens to be where Tom Brady can carve them up. So, it was the David versus Goliath thing. And I think that you're right, though, Dan, is that there's really not any big storylines because usually they have, it's both Goliaths where it's big name quarterbacks, those who make it to the Super Bowl. And that's why most people tie Super Bowl wins to all time greatness for whatever reason, being it's a team sport. But I think that Nick Foles proved to everyone this year that just because your star quarterback goes down, if your team is really built and good enough around it and you have a solid enough backup, that you can make it this far. So if they could beat the Patriots, I will tip my hat because I was one of those people that wrote off the Eagles. I didn't think that there was a chance that they'd be able to withstand this, but they did. And here they are in the Super Bowl. But again, you don't bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs.
My favorite storyline is always the one that generates the best conversation. And we've heard this this is the third time we've heard it, right? If Tom Brady wins this one single game, he will cement his legacy as the greatest quarterback of all time. Well, let's see. He won the first one in 2014. He won the second one in 2016, but he's still not the greatest quarterback, and one win won't change that. I mean, this is my favorite storyline because it's hilarious that everyone thinks one win or one loss is going to break a man's legacy. I saw someone ask on Twitter if you'd rather have Tom Brady's Super Bowl career with the losses or Eli's. Tom Brady's, right? I mean, yeah, these are somehow the same people who think MJ's better than LeBron because MJ lost in the Eastern Conference Finals instead of in the finals like LeBron. Playoff wins and Super Bowl wins do not make or break a quarterback's career. I'm sorry. Brady's 27-9 in the playoffs and Rodgers is 9-7. But Rodgers has more yards per game, more touchdowns per game, fewer interceptions per game, more yards per attempt, and a quarterback rating 9.3 points higher than Brady's in the playoffs. That's the same difference as regular season Tom Brady and regular season Matt Schaub. The fact that Tom Brady's defenses average a dozen fewer points allowed in all those games than Rodgers, that's the difference, and everyone knows it. Stop fooling yourselves.
That's an argument that we got into in our company Slack channel, and Bobby and I are kind of on an island here. And here's the thing. You asked me, if your team is down 7 going into the fourth quarter, who do you want at quarterback? It's Tom Brady. Like he's
Brady.
my number. He's my fourth quarter quarterback. He's the best all time, 100%. But if you're asking me
who has the best accomplishments of all time, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Yes.
Who's the best quarterback though?
That's the thing. If you were to put Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers on the same exact team with the same exact everything around them, Aaron Rodgers would accomplish just as much as Tom Brady, if not more. I think he's more naturally talented. Now, again, Brady's my number 2 quarterback all time. And right now, if you're forcing me to say, Mike, if everybody died today, it's Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. That's what I'm saying. It's Tom Brady of all time. He is the best of all time right now. But what I'm saying is on the trajectory, unless Aaron Rodgers completely falls off or, hurts his shoulder and pulls an Andrew Luck or something like that, Aaron Rodgers' trajectory, if he plays the way he has throughout the first, 10 years of his career, Aaron Rodgers should, in fact, go down as the most talented quarterback of all time.
I still think Dan Marino over Tom Brady, but Brady's had an incredible career. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, I just can't believe that the 2 hosts of this podcast are literally pushing the Brady not the greatest of all time angle. I mean, that's
no, I said as of right now he is. So I want to say I want to back that up and say
that's fair.
I want to say as of right now, if you were to say like I said, if everybody died, Tom Brady's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, that's fair. No,
I mean, the thing is, the loudest people on Twitter are going to be against us for sure. I'm going to get hate on this for Twitter. At Bobby Fantasy Pro, bring it on. At Mike Tagliere NFL, bring it on. Send it mostly to tags though, okay? But the thing is, most people listening to this agree with us. There was a poll Jake Seeley just posted, and it was 3-1 Aaron Rodgers. 3-1. You haters are the ones that are alone. It's not tags and I. Get out of here.
Look. All right. I think objectively, most people would agree that Aaron Rodgers is the more talented quarterback. I think, right? I mean, he can make certain throws that Brady just can't. The throw to Jared Cook against Dallas or whatever that was at the end, Brady cannot physically make that throw. I mean, he is incredibly talented. But I mean, guys, I mean, again, tags, you're basically giving, him as right now. And I agree, Rodgers is phenomenal, but I can't imagine that I will ever say that anyone is a better quarterback than Tom Brady in my life. I'll go the safe route.
It's the safer. It's definitely the safer one because believe me, if I say anything bad about Tom Brady, like I'm hammered for it. So I'm not saying anything bad about him. I'm just saying amazing things about Aaron Rodgers.
Wait a second, Dan. So you're saying Josh Allen is not going to be better than Tom Brady? I'm just kidding, everyone. I'm just kidding. Okay, we're going to kick this up a notch. That was a little bit too weak, so we're going to have some hotter takes on this next question. Tags, you get to go first. What's your favorite Super Bowl snack?
I'm boring, man. Like, seriously, I want something that's non-maintenance because I want to keep my eyes on the screen. So it's usually like some sort of like buffalo chicken dip or something like that. Or my wife makes these little,
That's a great answer.
She takes like these egg roll wrappers and like the mini ones, and then she puts ground beef in there with seasoning and stuff, and then cheese, and then you just she wraps it up, puts it in the oven. It's like these mini taco egg roll things, and they're phenomenal. But that's basically what mine is.
That sounds good, man. Like, I don't know why we have to do all the basic Super Bowl food. Like, why can't we just eat the best food? Like, give me a big bowl of ice cream. Dan, what do you like, man?
Yeah, ice cream, I'll be honest, my wife probably would prefer that. But for me, we have a couple of specialties in our household. Okay, now, first of all, for the main meal, which I feel like is most of halftime, we always have to have wings. I lived in Buffalo for several years, so you can't get around it. But for the snacks that basically start right before the game and go through the first game, there's 2 different things that we make here, okay? One is cheeseburger nachos, which is something that I highly recommend. And the second thing is the best thing in the world, bacon cheddar beer bread, okay? I can get the recipe from my wife. It is probably the greatest thing of all time. You got to make a ton of it because you got a ton of people over, but those are by far the only 2 snacks that I serve in my house at our Super Bowl parties, and they are well worth it.
Nice.
You are going to have like 10,000 new followers tomorrow, man, if you're trying to share that recipe. So where can they find you on Twitter?
I'm at Dan Harris 80, and I'm ready. I've got the recipe right here in front of me. I'm not going to give it out on the podcast, but if you tweet at me, I'll give it to you.
Nice.
Here's my thing, okay? If I'm eating Super Bowl food, my brother-in-law Ian made this once, and I will never forget it. I hope I have it every year for the rest of my life. I hope I have it every day for the rest of my life, okay? Spicy venison chili. I mean, don't bring that crap chili that's like 90% beans. Load the sucker up with wild meat, habaneros, tomatoes, corn, pepperoni. If you're going to go halfway, leave your chili chili at home. In fact, don't even come to my party. This is the biggest chili day of the year, and if you aren't going to nail it on Sunday, then what are you waiting for? Really?
I'm dying over here. Bobby,
all right, man.
Bobby never leaves us disappointed with his food takes. That's for sure. Like, I'm boring as hell. I'm like, give me some chips and dip. Bobby's just like, he calls out people for their chili.
All right. This begs the most difficult question of the show. Dan, when is it best to get your snack? Like, everyone wants to know this. We're all in that kind of zone where we can't figure it out. I have a game plan. I'll share it with you in a minute. But Dan, what do you do?
I like to start the serving of the snacks right up front. I mean, guys get there probably, I don't know, let's say a half hour, 45 minutes. Snacks are waiting when you get there, and they need to be plentiful enough to last for essentially the entire half. Halftime is when you bring out the big guns, like the meal, like the wings and stuff like that. But in terms of the snacks, they're all sort of the first half, and that's it. And then you just sort of veg for the second half. That's my go-to.
Okay. Tags, what's your game plan, man?
So, yeah, this might be a hot take. So, I mean, first off, you got to eat before the game. That's obvious. So this year, I'm playing it smart, man. So my son's birthday, it just happened. You know, we talked about it like 2 weeks ago. I'm having his first birthday party on the Super Bowl. So, you know, from 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock, we're going to have like, you know, all the family here. And I said, whoever wants to stay, you guys can hang, watch the game. All my friends are going to be here for the party, all that stuff. So we're going to be watching, and obviously I'm going to eat beforehand, but the time to really eat is at halftime because the halftime show has been trash. Like, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a hot take or whatever, but I haven't enjoyed it. Like, I feel like they need to mix it up more where it's been too poppy, where it's just been so much pop stuff, and that stuff's fine for the radio. I understand why kids like it. I understand you can bob your head to it, but I don't know. I wish they would go back to like bring Metallica out there. Like, I want to know why Metallica cannot play. And the thing is like, I'm a harder rock fan. And so you have to search for that rock band that, you know, people can understand. So the people, you know, they know the songs, right? And Metallica is that band. Why can't they play the Super Bowl instead of Lady Gaga or no offense, Justin Timberlake, but
because they're not celebrities, man. Like, everyone, it's a celebrity worship,
That's what I'm
right? I
saying.
mean, like, we're never going to see Ace Enders out there. Ace Enders is the man. We're never going to see George Strait out there. He's not a celebrity, but he's the dude, right?
Oh,
yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't like the halftime.
Yeah, it's like,
show.
I want to see a rock show. Like, seriously, like, I understand the spectacle of it and all that stuff, but I think they need to mix it up more often. I think it's been just a little bit too poppy for me lately. So halftime, I'm probably pretty much out.
Look, I'm going to have my head buried in the game, right? I don't want to miss the commercials, and I've got to take a nap during the halftime show. This is why we reproduce, right? I mean, from the day my boys started walking, I trained them for this moment. Daddy likes Havarti cheese, and get me 26 chicken wings. Only the drumstick ones, though. Then voila, I've got my food without missing a play, and my kid feels like he won the Super Bowl because he can help his daddy. Listen, folks, if you don't have kids yet, you're out of luck this year, right? You're just going to have to starve to death. But there is hope for the 2020 Super Bowl. You've got 3 months to get yourself a wife. You're probably going to have to meet her at the Super Bowl party. Got to make a baby on the honeymoon. Then you've got 1 full year to teach them to walk and use discernment on meat selection. Get going.
I mean, I'm not kidding. Bobby, you should write a book because you have hot takes on essentially every subject that has ever come up at any given point. You could literally have the book, call it hot takes or whatever you want. People could have a random discussion about like the French Revolution or something at something. Be like, hold on, let me check. And you go out here, you'd be like,
I got
man,
big hot takes on
Napoleon
that.
was so overrated. I can't believe it. Like, that's really what your life should be about.
100%.
Here's the thing. In real life, I'm very tame. Nobody would be able to pick me out from anyone in the room. I'm just like a very normal, calm person. Isn't that right, Tags?
No, absolutely not. Bobby is like a kid. Like, no, it's funny. Like I said, Bobby is like a teenager. He's got so much energy pent up. And I asked him, we were at the airport about to leave to head back home. And I said, hey, I need to get some coffee. Do you want coffee? And he's like, no, I don't drink that stuff. And I was just like, you're right, man. What the hell would you do with coffee? Like, Bobby would be literally bouncing off the walls. So he's a crazy man is what Bobby is.
It's the blueberry dates RX bars that they sent me, man. Like, it's so much energy, man. It's beautiful. Yeah, and coffee tastes like turd. So anyway, game preview time. Then we're going to talk props. And I know I know it took a while to get here, but come on. Half the fun of the Super Bowl is the event leading up to it, right? Okay, so we're going to start. We're just going to go Pats passing attack, face Eagles secondary. Dan, I'll let you go first here.
Well, I mean, I think, frankly, it's not as much about the secondary, which isn't that strong. And it's a lot more about whether or not they can actually get pressure on Brady with the front four without blitzing, right? I mean, that's kind of the one weakness essentially that Brady has, which is when you can get pressure on him without blitzing, he kind of starts seeing ghosts a little bit. And that's kind of the Eagles' specialty, right? They had the second highest pressure rate with the 4-man rush. They led the league with 17 pressures per game. And that's obviously the key. If Fletcher Cox, Vinny Curry, if those guys can get to him, that's great. Absent that, the secondary is fine, but I don't think they can really handle what Brady's going to basically be able to throw it. I mean, Patrick Robinson can probably handle Amendola, but, Ronald Darby and Jalen Mills, they've been fine. Mills has improved as the season has gone along, but they're not good enough to shut it down. And frankly, the Eagles are fine against tight ends, but I feel like they've struggled when they've been good. I don't know how they're going to stop Gronkowski. So in the end, I think the entire thing is going to be about whether or not they're able to get pressure on Brady with the front four. If they can, they'll probably be able to survive. If they can't get consistent pressure, Brady's going to eat them alive.
I think Patrick Robinson's actually going to be on Brandon Cooks. Can you confirm that, Tags? Is that correct?
No, Patrick Robinson. So Robinson plays in the slot for them almost all the time. So he'll be covering Amendola the majority of time and sometimes Chris Hogan. But Cooks will line up against Ronald Darby the majority of the time, but he'll also see some of Jalen Mills. So that's a mismatch. Like that's where the Patriots, and we know that the Patriots take advantage of some of the biggest weaknesses. Jalen Mills legitimately was PFF's worst graded cornerback last year. This year he did turn things around, but he's a very, very slow cornerback. He runs, I believe it's like a 4.65 40. So if the Patriots want, they can slide Brandon Cooks over to the right side of the formation, which they typically do around a quarter of the time anyways. They can slide him over there because Mills is stuck there. He doesn't move. They can move over to that side of the formation and create a big mismatch. So that's what I believe they'll do because the Patriots have done it, and that's why they win Super Bowls. They take advantage. I think JJ Zacharyson was talking about it on Twitter and the fact that, we take this stuff for granted, but it seems so obvious that you should be able to attack these weaknesses, but no other teams do it. The Patriots have continued to do it, and that's why we continue to see this dynasty, strive.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, Gronk is going to play. I don't know if he's going to be at 100%. It doesn't matter if he's at 100%. It doesn't matter if Tom Brady plays or Matt Castle plays or Brian Hoyer plays. They're just going to pass it to Damian Amendola or Kenny freaking Britz. Who knows? This is the Bill Belichick show. It's going to happen. We're going to see some random crap thrown against the wall on Sunday, and it's going to stick because it's the Patriots, and it helps that the Eagles have not the best secondary in the world, too. So what about the run here for the Patriots? Are they going to do anything against this Eagles front seven?
I don't think it'd be wise to try very much. I don't think it's going to be. I think they're going to try and run that offense where they use their short passing game as their run game. The Eagles all year long, they've been stuffing the run, and you saw that against Atlanta. Atlanta started the game running the ball really well, and then you kind of saw the Eagles adjust, and they just shut down the run game. And that's when you saw things go south for the Falcons because Steve Sarkisian couldn't adjust his offense, similar to the way it's been all season. But as we know, the Patriots are not one to remain stagnant if something's not working. I don't envision them running the ball very much. Again, that short passing game will be there. It's there against most teams. That's really, really hard to stop, especially when you have Brandon Cooks out there stretching the field, Danny Amendola, who just had a 2-touchdown game, Chris Hogan getting healthier, Rob Gronkowski pulls a safety out. It's so tough to defend this team, especially when you have a playmaker like Gronk. And yes, Gronk is going to be available. I do not worry about his health because I don't worry about his health, but I don't worry about his effectiveness because he's coming off a concussion. If he's cleared from a concussion, he's 100%. Like there's nothing wrong with his leg, his arm, his ribs, nothing like that. So I do believe that Gronk is going to be a big factor in this game.
Yeah, so I mean, I pretty much echo everything Tech said. They're not going to be able to run the ball. I mean, the Eagles have a great rush defense. They allowed 100 yards from scrimmage to running backs for the season. They are a little bit vulnerable to pass catching backs. They allowed 91 receptions to running backs. That was 11th most in the league, and that's basically what the Patriots do, right? They move guys around. They're masters at creating mismatches to get the running backs into space. So again, I don't really expect the running game to be a heavy part of it, but I think Deion Lewis has 17 receptions so far in the 2 playoff games. You know what I mean? That's not even considering James White, and I'm sure Rex Burkhead will be closer to full strength now. So I do expect a lot of dump offs and those type of things. But in terms of the traditional running game, I don't think they're even going to bother to try it very much.
Yeah, I don't think he's clearly not stupid. I don't think he's going to try to establish the run. I think he'll try to establish the pass to open up the run. I wouldn't be shocked if Belichick abandons it early and just airs it out 40 plus times because nobody has been able to run on this unit all season. So I just don't think the Pats are going to run all that much. I think there's going to be a lot of passing in this game as the Eagles try to play catch up. So let's move on over to the Eagles. Their passing attack against the Patriots secondary. Dan, we'll let you go first here. What do you think about this one?
sort of similar to how I feel like the Eagles defense against Brady. It's much more about whether or not they can disrupt Foles as it is to how the secondary, I think, matches up against the Eagles. I mean, Foles basically, he was struggling, right? And the whole story that the coaching staff went back and said, let's look at what you were doing when you were good. And then they kind of said, okay, we'll run more of a Chip Kelly style offense, a lot of quick stuff, a lot of run pass options, stuff like that. So it's really going to be about whether or not the Patriots are able to disrupt that. I expect them to do a lot of pre-snap movement, that sort of stuff, just to disguise what they're doing. But, it was kind of similar to how Jacksonville ran their offense last week and 2 weeks ago, and they were able to move the ball pretty effectively. So in terms of the secondary look, I mean, obviously Gilmore and Butler are great on the outside. So, I mean, I would expect probably Aguilar to get a lot of involvement here against Rowe. That's kind of what the Patriots' weakness is. And obviously Ertz should get a lot of work. But you know what Bill Belichick does. He tries to take away one of your best weapons. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of coverage on Ertz. So in the end, I think if they can keep the rhythm that they've had going, obviously he destroyed Minnesota, which is an elite defense. If they can keep that rhythm going, that's great. But it really, the success is going to come down to whether or not Belichick is able to kind of disrupt Foles' timing.
I'll just say it. Nick Foles was really bad. And not really bad. Like, he was not a top 20 quarterback in the NFL before the NFC title game. Like, I love the guy. You listen to an interview. Mm-hmm. This is one of the coolest, smartest, just great guys in the NFL. I root for Nick Foles. I'm rooting for the Patriots because I just love Bill Belichick that much. Sorry, I know I'm going to get a bunch of hate for that as well. But, also my dad grew up in Boston. So I'm rooting for the Patriots. But I love Nick Foles. I hope he does well, earns himself a big contract. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. With that said, the Eagles run more run-pass options, RPOs, than any team in the NFL. They did before Foles got in there. Doug Peterson has built a really great offense. And the Patriots, they can't defend the run-pass option. They also can't defend the slot, so I think he passes to Aguilar a ton. I'm banking on him having a huge day against the Patriots. I think the Eagles are going to be really successful through the air, and I think both teams are just going to throw it a ton.
I don't know. I'm really considering, I think that Bill Belichick, if you go back to week 1, I know they lost to the Chiefs in that game. By the way, Alex Smith was the only quarterback in the NFL to beat both of these teams in the regular season. Just want to throw that little jab in there. But by a combined 22 points, mind you. But if you go back to that Chiefs game and you look at the offense that the Chiefs have, Travis Kelce's obviously their number one option. I think Zach Ertz falls into that category. They stuck 2 men on him. Like they were not going to let Travis Kelce beat them. Now it didn't really work for them in the game. I think that's when Stephon Gilmore was playing like crap. Malcolm Butler, I want to say, I don't even know if they started him. I think they benched him because of like some personal conduct stuff in that game. So this defense has changed quite a bit over the course of the season. They started out in a zone defense. They ended up moving to a man defense. Eric Rowe and Nelson Aguilar, Dan, you hit it on the head. That's the biggest mismatch in the field here. Torrey Smith should be removed by Malcolm Butler, Alshon Jeffrey, Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore is a big enough corner to handle Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon can still do the one-on-one balls, which he should see a lot of one-on-one work. So it's not to say he can't high point a ball and go over the top of Gilmore. That can definitely happen. But it's going to be a really tight matchup between those two. I think it comes down to Philly. They don't want to get into a back and forth match with New England. They don't want to do that. I think they need to run the ball to win this game. And the running game has been clicking as of late. Jay Ajayi looked good. LeGarrette Blount is looking really good. Blount knows the Belichick team. I don't know if there's anything that he can, give any insight on that. I just don't know how that stuff works because I've never played in the NFL in terms of, does he know about Belichick's game planning? Does he know what the defense is going to try and do? Can that help the Eagles? I would imagine it would. But again, it comes down to whether or not you can run the ball. And you're right, Bobby. The Patriots couldn't stop the run during the regular season. They allowed 4.7 yards per carry. They suffered a lot of big injuries to their front seven. So that's the key to this game. I think that the Patriots would love to get out early so that they could take away that option. But then again, you think about it, even if the Eagles do jump out front, as an Eagles fan, do you really feel comfortable with a 7, 10, 14-point lead over Tom Brady going into the second half? The answer is no. Whereas if the Patriots get up early, the game's over.
Yep, I'm with you. I mean, the Patriots, they just haven't been very good against the run this season. And with Peterson, He is inclined to just ride the hot hand. Don't be surprised if Corey Coleman leads the Eagles in total yards. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, that's the type of thing that Doug Peterson could do and surprise us all. I don't think he's the best running back on the team. I don't even think it's really close. I think it's Ajayi. I think Blunt's better, too. He had a great season. But the Patriots couldn't stop Corey Grant last week. So naturally, of course, the Jags stopped using him. And Clement, I think, could have a similar impact on the game with 6 to 8 carries.
I mean, the one thing that I will point out, because you guys are making good points about the running game, is that it's a really small sample size, but over the last 4 games, including the playoffs, obviously, against Henry and against Fournette, the Pats have allowed just 72.5 rushing yards per game and at 3.2 yards per carry. I mean, they've really sort of stifled, now obviously Grant last week, but 2 weeks ago, but that was sort of dump offs and stuff like that. And if they're able to get creative like that, great. But that sort of the classic ground game, I mean, the Patriots have really tightened up lately. I mean, Fournette obviously scored the touchdown and there were some runs where he was just carrying dudes, but in the end, he didn't have a huge game. You know what I mean? I think he had like something like 75 yards on 24 carries or something like that. So I do think that unfortunately is something that's going to be tough. But again, I really trust in Peterson to come up with some sort of game plan that's going to maximize what their assets are. And they do have a lot of weapons. That is one thing. I mean, Tags, you talked about against KC where they took away Kelsey. Well, that's really because at the time, they didn't really, I don't think they thought Hunt was that big of a weapon. And really, it was just Hill. With the Eagles, you have Jeffrey, you have Ertz, you have the running backs, at least Ajayi. And frankly, even Aguilar is sort of somebody. So I feel like this is at least, it's a little bit tough to say, let me just make you play one-handed, let me take away whatever your best weapon is, because the Eagles, they have a lot of weapons and they're well coached. So I'm not sure if they can really, I'm sure they will try to establish a ground game, but I just wanted to point out that the Pats, at least lately, have really sort of toughened up against just running backs in the traditional running sense.
All right, guys, let's do final score predictions. Tags, we're going to let you go first here.
All right, I have Patriots 28-20.
28-20. All right, Dan, what do you have, man?
I'm real close to that. I've got Patriots 27-17.
Okay, I've got a much higher score than you guys. I've got Patriots 37, Eagles 28, so I'm going with the over for sure.
Nice.
I mean, they always play close Super Bowls. I mean, it's the one thing, right? The biggest one was the overtime game where they won by 6, right? They haven't won any of their Super Bowls by more than that, right? So we're getting a little out there here.
And what's a fun fact is that someone, Scott Pianowski, want to give him a shout out. Happy birthday too, by the way. But he posted something the other day saying that Tom Brady has never thrown a touchdown pass in the first quarter of a Super Bowl. I thought that was
wow.
The Patriots have never scored an offensive point in the first quarter of a Super Bowl.
Is that like, I didn't know it was not a point.
That's a real stat. They've never scored a point in the first quarter of a Super Bowl.
Wow.
Really?
All right. So
either that or CBS Sports lied to all of us.
I mean, I guess
I don't think they did. CBS Sports has good content.
All right. So guys, we're going to do a quick rundown of these props. I've gotten some props together. I didn't tell these guys about them, but we're going to go through some questions here. Guys, over under on Pink's national anthem, 2 minutes. What do you got, guys?
Over.
I'm going over too.
All right. I am going to go under. All right. Will Pink omit or forget a word of the national anthem? Yes or no?
Absolutely not. She's infallible.
Yes.
Bobby says yes. Dan says no. I will also go with no.
Dan with the hot take.
All right. Who will be mentioned first during the live broadcast once the game starts? Bill Belichick or Doug Peterson?
That's a good one.
I'll go Belichick just because I feel like everybody's going to talk about him nonstop.
What's the line? Like minus 160
We're
Belichick?
not doing lines. We're just going to do even here. We're just going to say everything's even.
Oh, straight up, I'm taking Belichick.
All right, we're all Bill Belichick here. I also said no on will she omit the word. What color will Bill Belichick's shirt be at the start of the game? Blue, gray, red, or white?
Blue.
I'm going gray.
Blue.
Oh, that's a big mistake.
Blue.
Tex. Big mistake. Blue all the way.
You got blue?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, I'm going gray. All right, 5. Over under on Trump tweets during the Super Bowl. Super Bowl Sunday, the whole day.
No,
5,
it's not during the Super Bowl. Okay,
yeah. So over under during the Super Bowl Sunday, the whole day. 5 tweets. Over under.
On a normal day, I would take him at 4.5. On Super Bowl Sunday, he's got to get the attention, man. I'm going over.
All right.
No, I'm going under. I'm going a few in the morning to establish himself as relevant. One right before the game to congratulate them, and then quiet. So I'll go under.
I am also under with you,
okay.
Dan. All right. 6. Will Trump be mentioned on the broadcast during the game?
Ooh.
Only if Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl MVP.
So no, it's got to be during the game. So you're saying no, Bobby?
Okay, then no.
Yeah,
right.
I'll go no. I'll go no as well. I think they'll try to keep it as safe as possible.
I'm going to say yes, just to be different. How many times will Tom Brady's age be mentioned during the broadcast? Over, under 1.5.
I'm taking 2. Over.
I'm going with 14, so I'll also go over.
I'm going to think they say his exact age one time, so I'm going to go under on this one. How many times will Carson Wentz's name be mentioned during the broadcast? Again, this is excluding halftime. The over-under is 3.5.
I was going to go 3, so I'm under on this one, barely.
Yeah, I'm going to go under as well. It's close, but I would think twice.
I'm going over on this one. All right. 9. Will they show the Rocky statue during the game? Again, this is not before or after halftime, during the game.
Yes, the answer is yes. By the way, I was waiting for Bobby, but the answer is yes. Of course they will. Absolutely.
I'm going yes as well. I think it's right before a commercial break, they're going to show it. Will Tom Brady win Super Bowl MVP?
Yes. Oh, yes. I think the question is, if he doesn't win, who wins?
Yeah. The answer is obviously that is the correct answer.
Okay. All right.
So who would you guys take? Who would you guys take? Like if it's not Brady, well, let's even take Foles out of this. Which non-QB is most likely to win?
I mean, if it's not Brady, that means I think the Eagles won the game. So I will take. I'll take LeGarrette Blount if not Tom Brady.
Okay.
Yeah, goodness. I'll take. I'd go.
I'm
Ajay.
going Deion Lewis.
I'd go Ajay if somebody other than Brady, because I agree.
I
If
thought
it's
about that.
pass,
Okay.
it's got to be Brady.
Yeah. All right. Excluding kickers and punters, will anyone outside of Brady and Foles take a snap in this game? That could be a fake punt.
Yep.
That could be a lot of different things. It could also be someone kneeling at the end of the game. I'm going to say no, though.
I would take no at -180.
You know what?
That's
I'm
how
going
confident
yes.
I am.
Okay.
I'm going yes. I think some trickery is going to be coming out from the Eagles at some point. One play.
Nice. Which will be the highest scoring quarter? I'm going the second quarter.
Well,
Fourth.
it's obviously not the first. Now that Bobby dropped that great stat on us, I'll also go the second. I think that's probably where we go.
All right. First offensive play of the game. Is it a run or a pass?
It's a kickoff.
No, first offensive play of the game. I said dumb.
I think the Eagles are getting it, and I think they're going to pass right from the get-go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go specific, and I will call it a play action pass for the first play of the game.
I'm going with a run. I do think the Eagles get it, and I think that they don't want to put that much pressure on Foles. I think it's a run. Tom Brady passing touchdowns over under 2. Or you could say push.
Push.
I'll go over.
I am also going over. What will be greater, the temp in Minnesota at the start of the game or the amount of points scored in the first quarter?
Boy, that's good.
I'm going over. I'm going temperature.
Points. We're gonna break the Patriots go scoreless streak, so I'll go points.
All right, I'm going to go temp. What color Gatorade will be dumped on the winning coach? Lime, green, and yellow is considered the same thing because we don't want to determine which is which.
I'm going water. I'm going water on Belichick. He probably told his team, like, I'm so sick of getting sticky Gatorade poured on me. If you pour Gatorade on me, I'm cutting you. So you can do water, though.
So I'm sorry. Were there choices or any color? Is that what it was?
Any color you could
Yeah,
pick
I'll go
any color.
orange.
I'm going to go with the lime,
I'll
green,
go
and yellow.
orange.
All right, orange. All right, so we got 3 more here. Will JT, Justin Timberlake, be wearing a hat when he begins his halftime performance?
Yeah, big time.
I also
I'm going
say yes.
no hat for JT.
All right. This is not one thing. Who will finish as the player with the most receiving yards?
Nelson Aguilar.
Brandon Cooks.
Those are all good choices.
Foles has been throwing the ball. Foles has been throwing the ball to Aguilar so much since he took over.
I'm going to go with Gronk here.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. And the last question, guys, I already took down. What will the first scoring play be? So you have to say Patriots or Eagles, passing, rushing, or field goal, or are you predicting a defensive score first?
Eagles field goal.
Eagles touchdown.
Eagles field goal, Eagles touchdown. I am going to go Pats touchdown.
We haven't agreed on anything here.
No, that's the best part though, because we're going to go back through this. I don't know how I'm going to keep track, but I'm going to have like a little sheet by me, but I'm going to go through and tally it. And we got to figure out what is the reward for who wins this competition. It's probably nothing, but if we want to come up with something, if you guys want to tweet at us, tell us who should win what.
Just a shout out. Yeah, a shout out on Twitter. Like, if I get that, man, and I'm going to, I mean, you might as well not even keep score. I'm going to get every single one of those right. You can just start writing the
Inaccurate.
congratulations tweet.
Well, you
now.
know what's funny about that, Bobby, is like actually right in this chair next to me. I just got home from obviously out of town, and I have this lovely belt here, and it says
We don't need to talk about
says
whatever
on
you're
it-
going to talk about. We don't need to
it
talk
says
about
Fantasy Pros Insiders Championship Belt. It's this beautiful thing we got from Fantasy Jocks. It's fantastic, but it's got my name on it, Bobby. I didn't see your name anywhere on here.
it. Don't you guys hate it when you win the regular season and it's really not even close? Like everyone knows you have the best team, and then you get to the playoffs and your opponent has Todd Gurley, and then he's like bragging like, "Oh, I had the best fantasy team in the whole world." No, you just had Todd Gurley. You got lucky.
Well, I'm just saying, it's here
man.
with me. If you ever want to stop by and look at it, it's here, man.
Oh, well, I'll just wait until next year, in the next like 8 years when I own it. So I'll send y'all a picture when I get it. Guys, I do have 2 more props for you, okay? Let's say it's not a props. Let's say you have the first pick in squares. Where are you going, Dan?
Oh boy. Well, I think in the end, for whatever reason, I like to go all the way on the bottom and right in the middle. I won it one time from that square, so that's where I go. Bottom row, middle. Every time.
That's awesome. What I meant is the ones where
The
you can
number.
like
You can pick
No,
choose your
bottom
number.
row, middle.
But I
whatever
love
the numbers
that
are
you
there, Bobby. Whatever the numbers are.
I
it's
love that you
bottom
have an
row,
answer for it.
Middle. I don't understand. That's where you go.
Tags, where are you going here, man?
I'm dying. 7-3. I would like 7-3. The Patriots 7-3. I think that's the end of the first quarter score. After that, it's kind of up in the air. But 7-3 are always good numbers.
I hate to break it to you, Tags, but Scott Barrett broke it down on Twitter with every game from the past decade by quarter and the top 5 squares. If you get, so much money for each quarter,
Mm-hmm.
top 5 squares in order: 0-0, 0-7, 7-0, 0-3, 3-0. Yours is nowhere to be found, so you're going to lose money.
My 7-3.
7-3 is number 7 on the list. Man.
Oh wow. Well, it seems like the squares, if they start at 0, that means Dan would have 9 and 5.
I have 5 and 8 in mine, which is the bottom middle. So that is going to be the final score. So really, I need to revise it. The final score 25-18. That's my new prediction.
25-18. You're not going with maybe 35-28.
No, that would be too easy. You got to make it as hard as possible.
Okay, guys, this is a prop that I haven't seen anywhere, but I'm curious what the betting line would be on this one. If the Patriots win, is there going to be another cheating scandal? We've seen Isaac Bruce and Marshall Faulk still say the Patriots stole Super Bowl 36 by taping their walkthroughs. We all remember Deflategate and how the difference between the Patriots fumbles and the second best team over a decade was larger than the difference between number 2 and the worst team. Steve Spagnuolo has also said that they were stealing the Eagles' signs and knew they were blitzing in Super Bowl 39. Apparently, teams have even claimed the Patriots stole their play sheets, bugged their locker room, and even Mike Tomlin has said the Patriots messed with their headsets. I'm putting the line at even. What do you guys think? How are the Patriots going to cheat here?
Well, I think that the odds of there being a cheating scandal are overwhelmingly yes, whatever it would be. But it's not going to come out until like 9 years later when Brady is about to win, his 13th Super Bowl or something like that. And somebody's going to be like, oh, that Super Bowl back with the Eagles when they, slipped our wrong play sheets into our thing or something like that. So there'll be some nonsense, but not for a while.
I'm going to say no. And by the way, Bobby, did you hear about the prop bet that you can bet? It's 10-1 or 1-10. I can't remember which way to say it, but that you can bet on Tom Brady's jersey being stolen. I'm like, I should just put $1,000 in the fact that it won't, because we know it's not going to.
That's free money.
I mean, obviously you're only going to win $100 if you bet 1,000, but it feels like a free $100, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. Dan, are there any prop bets you like, or any final word?
You think it's getting stolen?
You call Tom Brady and you say, listen, man, I've got a great money-making enterprise. I'm going to put down $10 million on this, on your jersey being stolen. And then he basically sort of takes care of it and gets rid of it and be like, oh, it was stolen. And then you just split the money with Tom Brady. That's like the easiest bet I've ever heard.
Tom Brady would totally
do that. He
totally
needs the money. He's
because
really
Giselle
struggling.
doesn't make enough money.
Yeah, exactly.
No. So do you know that the rule on that prop bet is that it has to be stolen within 48 hours?
Well, that's fair.
I kid you not. That's actually a rule in the prop bet.
I love prop bets. They're insane. And now what you can bet on, honestly, I remember when they used to do it on what would the halftime shows be. In terms of what the songs would actually be coming out. And then somehow somebody got it like a hold of them or something like that. And it threw the whole thing out of whack. So
All right, guys. Well, that's all for today's show. Dan, we really appreciate you coming on again, man. It was a lot of fun.
My pleasure, guys.
Remember, everyone, spicy venison chili, that's where it's at. Don't bring the weak bean chili. All right, so that's all for this year's Super Bowl show. We're still going to be blasting out 1 or 2 episodes every week, all off season. So make sure to subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss any shows if you haven't already. And thanks again to the sponsors of today's show, Zola.com/fantasypros for $50 credit towards your wedding registry. Go to Zola.com, ZOLA.com/fantasypros. All one word, for $50 credit towards your wedding registry. And thanks also to rxbar.com/fantasypros for 25% off your first order. For Mike Teglier, I'm Bobby Sylvester. Thanks for listening and enjoy your football.
I just wanted you to watch me dissolve.